The Jacksonville Jaguars fall again to the Baltimore Ravens, this time 23-7. And it's not looking real good for the Jaguars. I'll tell you all about it, and I'll tell you why they can't get right in just a second here on a postcast edition of Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, what up? Thank you, and welcome to another edition of Locked On Jaguars. This is a postcast edition of Locked On Jaguars, where it's your team every day, and we thank you for making us your first listen. A quick reminder, we're free to subscribe to on our YouTube page. Make sure you go to Locked On Jaguars, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notifications anytime we drop an episode. Throw in a like too here or there, and also wherever you get your podcast. When you're riding around in your car or you're sitting at work, you make sure you tap into that spot every single day to make sure you do not miss an episode. That's right, man. I'm perplexed, and I know a lot of folks are. Shout out to the everydayers for joining us. I know it's late. If you're driving in your car, be safe on the way home. If you're not, we're gonna get to the goods here today. Jaguar fans are fed up, man. 23-7 to Baltimore. Self-inflicted wounds once again. There's starting to be a trend here. They can't get right. And what I mean by can't get right, if you saw the movie Life, they were always trying to figure out what was wrong with this one guy played by Bokeem Woodbine. And somebody say, hey, man, he just can't get right. And that became his nickname. That is who the Jaguars are right now. Their nickname is can't get right because they seemingly can't. Doug Pederson, I watched the post game, and he was perplexed. And for the first time, I saw him contradict himself. So I'll tell you about that too. Doug said that we just can't get out of our own way. And we have to protect basically the most precious asset, and that is the football. It sounds like he's talking to a bunch of youth leaguers because we all know that. You got to protect the football. Why can't they do it? Why can't they get out of their own way? Why does he sound like he doesn't have an answer? Talent deficiencies. That he's not going to sit here. He's not going to pull the prime time and coach prime and sit here and tell you, oh, our guys ain't good enough. We got to go get better people. That's not the way the NFL works because this ain't the transfer portal. Guys have contracts, right? And there's ramifications for changing some of these players. Their trenches aren't good enough. He was asked about the team being stout enough or physical enough. He says, I don't understand what you mean by physical. You know damn well what they mean by physical. You're a quarterback. He says, yeah, it happens. You get beat. You get, no. This doesn't work that way. This doesn't work that way. When somebody says you're not physical, it means you ain't got no sand in your pocket. You ain't got no hind parts where it matters the most. And that is the spots where the quarterback is in the most danger. And that's when people are right in front of them. Right. And then on defense, when a team can run the ball all over you all night long, that's a problem. That's a serious problem with this football team. And I got a theory that I'm going to give you in the second half of this postcast. But I have a theory as to what is going to eventually happen or what has to happen. And it goes back to a poll that I gave everybody. I got people telling me now, if y'all don't remember, if you're first time here, there was a poll that I put out saying, not what would you rather have happen, like in terms of like in front of it, like the next 5 weeks, this has to happen. No, but what if you could just like transport yourself to 5 weeks from now and you have two things that could have happened? Which would you be more satisfied with? The Jaguars making the playoffs and getting stomped as the 4 seed if they have to play Buffalo, okay? Or and then them not making any changes and then looking at everything in one big box over the last 2 years saying, hey, man, we made the playoffs the last 2 seasons, so we're good. No, we're not good, okay? Or would you rather have them barely make it or barely miss the playoffs, but then they realize something has to change. And then they make a change with the GM first. And normally I would stop there, but today I'm not stopping there. I said make a change with him first, because you don't want to start dumping everything. I had people talking about trade Trevor and draft this guy, and I got people saying that we miss Marvin Jones Jr. And I just want folks to stop with putting Band-Aids on this big wound, okay? I actually probably think they're coaching okay. And the reason why, and I don't want to contradict myself, I think they're coaching okay. They're not coaching the best, but I think they're coaching okay. And what's happening is they're getting every bit of everything that they could get out of what they have. And that's why they coach that way. Why do they throw the ball sideways so much, Wig? Because they can't run it. That's why they do that. Because they want to at least get 3 or 4 yards and try to get 2nd and 6. That's exactly why they do that. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that they're trying to get ETN the ball in space. They're trying to get Calvin Ridley the ball quickly in space with mismatches. But the problem is other teams tackle very well. That's what it is, man. I mean, everything, all of their deficiencies are popping up on them. They were winning games with it before. See, to me, talent-wise, it's not an 8-win football team, but they won 8 games so far. So I got to give somebody some credit for that. I think it's a combination of the quarterback, even though he's as inconsistent as the day is long. Whether he's pressing, I don't know. And to add injury to insult, I found out after the postgame, he's in concussion protocol. He might not play next week. And Tampa's a problem. So the Jaguars are 8-6. They're tied record-wise with the Colts. They own the tiebreaker because they beat them head-to-head twice. Here's the problem. The Colts are winning, and they're red hot. The Jaguars have to go to Tampa. If they lose that game next week, they're behind the Colts, and then they need somebody to beat the Colts. And even if somebody beats the Colts, the Jaguars can't lose another game. I don't think they're going to lose to Carolina at home. They have to go to Tennessee the last week of the season, and even though Will Levis got hurt today, it doesn't matter. They almost beat the Jaguars last year with Josh Dobbs. You don't think they're going to be licking their chops trying to keep the Jaguars out of the playoffs the way the Jaguars did them last week? You damn right. And they are strong in certain areas where the Jaguars are weak. I'm going to get more into this here on the postcast. We're going to get to it, do all of this, and talk about it. I'm going to tell you what I really, really, really believe the absolute problem is with this team. What I think they have to do is something I've been screaming from the top of my lungs, and I know everybody's trying to blame. The blame is flying, okay? The blame is absolutely flying around, and folks are going to miss it and be in the wrong place because just don't miss it. Don't miss it, all right? You can't miss this because, don't be trying to put a Band-Aid on a broken leg is what I'm trying to tell you. There are some serious, serious problems right now with this football team, and that record can't save them for long because people are absolutely disgusted. All right, we're going to get to it in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. First, I have to let you know about LinkedIn Talent Solutions. It is the sponsor for today's show. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to have as many top-tier candidates as possible to interview, and that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. I've done it twice. They helped me fill 2 full barbershops, so you can do it too. Make sure you go to linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Terms and conditions apply. And today's show is also sponsored by, this postcast edition is sponsored by FanDuel. That's right, man. FanDuel is the absolute truth. And I've been telling y'all to use FanDuel here now forever because FanDuel is the absolute truth. You can use FanDuel just like I do and try to get you some Skrilla, man. All you got to do is make sure you go on FanDuel and read. Pay attention to all of the information that they give you. Spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Now, look, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and kick off the NFL season and get ready for the postseason. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right, man, we are rolling along here. I got 83 great listeners right now. I appreciate y'all. I'm trying to get to some of these comments really fast. Somebody said it's time to be a Dolphin fan. Stop it. You ain't going to do that. There's no way you're going to do it. This Devin says this team got hot at the right time last year, late November. This is just the polar opposite, and the injury bug is going around. He is absolutely right. We got to talk about Trevor, and I'm going to do that on tomorrow's show. I'm just going to, I will admit that Trevor Lawrence has franchise type ability, and he has a franchise type attitude. He has not played like a franchise quarterback this year, and that is something that a lot of people have drawn the ire of Jaguar fans by saying, I'm not going to sit here and backtrack. I do believe he's a franchise quarterback. He made a couple of throws tonight that absolutely blew my mind, but he is not going to be defined by his potential greatness the more his career goes on. He's going to be defined by this: his propensity to make mistakes in big games, especially when you're about to score. It is mind-boggling why he makes those decisions. Fumbled the ball today. He was just running. The ball just got loose on him, and he was upset about it. He knows he shouldn't do it, right? And then they come down, and this is the part where I got to get on Doug Pederson. Y'all want to blame Trevor Lawrence for all of this stuff? Doug says this: we're always going to be aggressive, right? So they hit a big pass right at the end of the first half when they don't have any timeouts left. Instead of spiking the ball with, say, 12 to 16 seconds left and getting 2 plays off, they just went ahead and ran the play. And I knew they weren't going to spike it because he lined up in shotgun. Trevor threw the ball out in the flat, and the guy whoever he threw it to got tackled. He got tackled. Inbounds. Clock ran out, didn't get any points. They're on the 4-yard line. This is after missing 2 field goals, which I normally would say is not customary to Brandon McManus. However, lately it is, right? He's missing those field goals. He doinked one, and granted, they were both 50-yarders, and the wind was blowing. Justin Tucker made his. Brandon McManus didn't make his, right? So you get that, and then the fumble, that's 4 times inside of the red zone where you screwed up. One of the keys, I've said it earlier in the day, that one of the keys to the game was that they have to score every time they get to the 37-yard line. That's a minimum of 54-yard field goal. Brandon McManus can make that. It's not happening. It's not happening. At some point, this is what I want to get to right now: talent deficient. At some point, look, we can't expect everyone to play well all the time. We can't expect everything to be perfect all the time, right? We can't. That's just not the way this works. It doesn't work for anybody, no matter what team it is. It doesn't work that way. But when you find different ways to lose and you can't get right? When the defense plays well, keeps you in the games all year long, the offense finally hits its stride the last 2 weeks before today's game, and the defense was non-existent. It's almost as if we can't fix one thing without something else breaking. And how many times have I had to say that analogy over the course of the last, 10 years, whether it be on radio or podcast, and you've heard me say that. You fix the pipe in the bathroom, all of a sudden the pipe busts in the kitchen. That is exactly what is going on with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The only constant is the mind-boggling, boneheaded mistakes that they make every week. And now Doug Pederson is, I'm gonna have to call him out on this a little bit. Somebody asked him, are people pressing? And he said, no, I don't think we're pressing. We're just not executing. Well, just a couple of weeks ago, you said that they were pressing. You said guys were chasing plays, and we can't get in the point. That's when things go wrong, when we're chasing plays. So it lends to me that Doug doesn't know what the hell the problem is, right? He says, yeah, we got to coach him up a little bit better and not put him in bad situations too. See, what he's talking around is what folks they don't break etiquette. And I understand that you don't break etiquette, and there's no reason to do it right now. There's a hard conversation, and he needs to be talking to the owner saying, look, our talent, we're not there. I know for a fact that Doug wanted to do things a little bit different the last couple of years, but they found that happy medium where everybody was going to work, and Doug wasn't going to do the same thing that happened in Philly, where he was indifferent a little bit with the GM, who's a very good GM, and Doug's a very good coach. But it just didn't work out. So you don't want to repeat those things. But I need him to want to repeat something now. I think he has more power than he did in Philadelphia. I don't think anybody's going to confuse Trent Baalke with Harry Roseman, right? They need to get somebody in here that understands exactly what he needs. You need to be big, strong, and fast. The Jaguars look slow on defense. They are running a scheme on defense. Now, this is on Doug because he hired Mike Caldwell, and I like Mike Caldwell. This is not about that. This is about what I see on the field. In no situations do I want to look out there and it's not an 8-play drive. I know everybody takes drives off. Even I'll use Nick Bosa for an example. Nick Bosa takes drives off because they'll put in Randy Gregory or they'll put in Chase Young. Did you hear what I just said? They're putting in Randy Gregory or Chase Young. They're not putting in DeJuan Smoot, who's coming off of an Achilles injury, and Kayvon Chaisson, who, while he's playing better, that is still saying that Kayvon Chaisson is playing better is like saying when somebody pays child support that they're being a good dad. You're supposed to do that. What are you talking about? So for me, there's a talent deficiency because when the point that I was making when I say everybody doesn't play well all the time, you look at good teams all the time and guys just have they're off. But you know what you can do? You can go somewhere else. Or you can just turn to the good old-fashioned tried and true thing of busting people in the mouth and winning the line of scrimmage and winning behind your offensive line. They can't do it. What offensive line they going to win behind? That one? And before anybody hits me up on social media and wants to tell me or PFF or whoever says that this guy grades here, this guy grades here, I'm going to tell you where you can take your PFF grades and your analytics and all of that because I got some 54-year eyes. I've been watching football a long time, and I know when somebody's getting their ass whooped on the line of scrimmage or not. That you don't need all of this other gadgets that everybody wants to talk about. And I'm not downplaying that stuff. I'm being dead serious. What I'm saying is, don't come at me trying to tell me that this guy's fine and that guy's fine and they're not that bad. I've been preaching this for 10 years. Unless you want to see them continue to get their butts whipped, they better get some more talent in here, some more top-end talent. They look slow. They look lethargic. If they draft another linebacker like Devin Lloyd, who was kind of a Swiss Army knife, you know what those guys are? That's like Miles Jack. That means he doesn't master anything, but he's jack of all trades. I just need people that know how to set the edge, people that absolutely know how to do their job and play football. This is ridiculous. Folks pointing at each other and yelling, and you see the doubt come in and so much for culture, right? All of that stuff goes out of the window when you can't win games. We're going to have a hard conversation about Trevor Lawrence tomorrow. There's a difference, and I've said this before. There's a difference between when you say being elite, right? Having elite traits and characteristics. Being elite sometimes doesn't mean you're being elite. That means that you're sometimes elite and then you're sometimes not. But that's not the way elite works. Elite's supposed to be if you are, you are. If you're not, you're not. Bad game aside here or there. Trevor is too inconsistent. At one point, he was 17 out of 23 for $148, and he only had that fumble, right? So statistically, it looked like he was playing well. But if you watch the game, you know that live wire I called his arm that before. Early in games, he overshoots everybody. And he's lucky he doesn't get turnovers because there's no safety back there or whatever, but it's usually out of bounds or towards the sideline. So he'll throw it to where nobody else can get it except him. Or it's just going to sail over the guy's head. And too many times early in games, they waste possessions because he's trying to calm his arm down. We're going to talk about him tomorrow on Locked On Jaguars. We're going to break it down, and we're just going to have a good, hard, honest conversation amongst family with the door closed. The whole community ain't going to know about it. It's just going to be us, and we're going to talk about our man, Trevor. I'll do all of that tomorrow on Locked On Jaguars. Make sure you join me. We're at your team every day. We thank you for making us your first listen. I will read through all of your comments and try to get to them as much as possible, or you just hit me up on social media on X. Until next time, you guys make sure you take care of each other, and I'll do the same thing. Jaguars fall 23-7 to Baltimore, and things aren't looking good right now at all for the Jacksonville Jaguars.